Hi, everybody. Good Saturday to you. This is VypeFortBend.com coverage of the Marshall Buffs taking on the Northside Panthers. I'm Roger Smith, my broadcast partner today, James Kovaleski. And this is one of those games, James, where without a doubt, it's certainly we've got a heavy favorite, and that's the Marshall Buffs. So what are we going to say about this one?
Yeah, Marshall last year, obviously in District 11, 5A, Division II, they ran the table undefeated, 8-0 in district. To put in perspective, Roger, and for the fans listening, the second-place team was Galena Park. They were perfect with the exception of their loss to Marshall. Marshall beat Galena Park 44-6. So when you're in a situation where the next best team in your league, you're 35, 40 points better than, it's actually – you can see it as a blessing in one regard that you can maybe cruise through your regular season. But really, when I talk to Coach Williams, it's almost more of a curse. And Coach Williams is a very reverential, thankful guy, so he would never call it a curse. But it makes it very difficult to actually prepare for the playoffs. I don't see a single game on the 11-5A slate that's going to be competitive for Marshall. Although they got the crack at Galena Park, the defending runner-ups in the district early this year. They played them last week, and Marshall won, but closer this year.
They won handily, but they gave up 21 points, and a lot of people are saying with what Marshall has on defense in this district, they shouldn't be giving up double-digit points to anyone.
I got to agree. When I saw that opening day score where Marshall won by 30 points, but it was 68-34 against Ike, and I got to admit my eyebrow went up.
Yeah.
Because I just know how good this defense has been year in, year out. James Williams is a defensive-first guy. He's a defensive-oriented coach. I was a little shocked. And then, for Vype, I am the lead broadcaster in Aldine, so I've been watching a lot of Aldine games.
So Aldine, you know about Eisenhower.
Aldine has a kid named Ryan Niblett.
Yeah.
He is one of the most – he's only a junior. He was the newcomer of the year last year in the district. He's electric, so I can kind of see some of that, but that was surprising. So early on, Marshall, you can't really compare scores. I mean, some things are standing out that maybe some games are a little bit closer, although they drubbed Elkins 49-7. I think that was a 7-0 game last year.
Yeah, and another thing that figures into that, James, Elkins is really hurting this year.
Right.
They have had Jackson Fields, their stud, tall, big, fast wide receiver, say that he wants to play basketball only. So that was one of the best weapons for Elkins, and they are struggling right now. No doubt about it.
But, yeah, man, that's kind of my feel for Marshall is like maybe they're not they're still dominant. There's a couple – you look at scores. I want to watch today. This is my first time watching them. I'm convinced that they're going to be very, very good today. Northside is an overmatched opponent. They're typically kind of on the lower side of the ladder, in this district. Although the past couple of years they've had a special kid, Ronald Holmes. He's since moved on, but he was I believe, 4-year starter at the quarterback position. And this happens every now and then, Roger. We'll see a team. Sometimes some of the teams out of HISD get overmatched when they play suburban teams. There's him, and you may remember the name. We saw a running back from Sterling Raiders running back. I think his last name was Brown. But between Ronald Holmes and this Brown kid from Sterling, those were the two times that I really felt like, oh, my God, this kid and this team that's getting overmatched, they could play for anybody.
Yeah, we need to figure out where Ronald Holmes is. And for the Marshall Buffs, based on all that you said, the good news is they have 7 weeks to work on it. The bad news is they're not going to be playing teams that really challenge them during that stretch. So we will step aside and bring you the Countdown to Kickoff show and our visit with James Williams, and he will address some of those things like the defense, giving up maybe a little bit more point production than some people think they should be, but there are some reasons for that. He'll get into it, and we'll be right back on VypeFortBend.com.
Every day, someone comes up to me and says, Amy, how amazing is Xfinity Internet? And I always say, guys, I could go on and on about how it gives you more than just fast speeds for all your work, school, and everything from home needs, but I have places to be. I'd also mention you can save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile and get nationwide 5G at no extra cost. But I gotta run. I have a thing. Really, it happens all the time. Can your internet do that?
Get started with Xfinity Internet for $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement and get a special offer of $100 back when you sign up online. Plus, save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 9/21/21. Restrictions apply. New Performance Starter Plus Internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Compares pricing of top carriers. Xfinity Internet required.
Welcome back to the Countdown to Kickoff show. Good morning, everybody. We're headed for an 11 a.m. kickoff as the Marshall Buffs are taking on Northside. James Williams, always good to talk to you. And any quick observations on your team's first 3 games?
First, thank you for having me. Always love when you guys are here covering us. First 3 games, a lot of improvement needed. We've done some good things, but we definitely got to keep improving. We can't settle and say that we're a good football team. We got to keep moving and keep improving, keep playing with play with better discipline, and continue to work on our fundamentals. So we got work to do.
What you just said kind of speaks to what I'm going to ask next, and I kind of ask you questions that I wouldn't ask some of the other coaches in the district just because of the high standards you've set. I know you're very happy with the athletes you have on defense. You really feel like you have some good players, but people might be saying, why is Marshall giving up double-digit points to anybody? That should not happen. Is that fair? And are we going to see some of those shutouts and giving up just 1 touchdown games in the near future?
Right, so that's definitely a fair assessment. We played 3 games so far, and we've given up double digits twice. I know 3 games, and one issue we're dealing with some COVID issues, and we're dealing with some injuries, so we haven't played with our full defense yet. But the ones that are in there, we expect those guys to execute, and our standard is high. So I absolutely challenge those guys every week to play at our standard. So that's absolutely fair to say that, and that's our expectation.
Next thing I'm going to ask you, this is just a wish. I mean, it's the UIL does its aligning every 2 years like it does, and does the best they can to be fair and equitable. But would you prefer to have a longer pre-district season and play fewer district games? Because, you started it, I believe, last week with Galena Park.
Yeah, but I really don't have a opinion here or there on that. As long as, we're playing quality football, I don't focus on the opponent as much, because first 2 opponents, we like to play 6A teams, physical teams, some successful teams in our non-district. So, it's just we focus more on ourselves, though.
All right. Anything that you, I remember this. I was thinking about this last night. I wanted to ask you, if you have Tuesday completely gone because of weather, and maybe you missed a good part of Monday. I know Coach LaFavors at Ridgepoint didn't get to practice on Monday either. Wow, it's a good thing for you that this game is on Saturday. Did you get to put in everything that you wanted to put in for the game plan?
Absolutely. That's very good. That's very good timing. We didn't practice at all on Monday or Tuesday, so yes, we had Wednesday and Thursday, so the extra day definitely helped us out. We feel good about it. We're not putting in a lot. We're just going to work on our fundamentals and base offense and defense and execute today.
All right. James Williams, head coach of the Marshall Buffs. Thanks for being with us always. You always thank me for covering the game, but I thank you because it's my pleasure. You're the gold standard in this district, and looking for good things. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much. Look forward to the rest of the season.
All right, James Kovaleski and I will be back with the opening kickoff, Northside against Marshall. This might be like a Tyson fight. I'm just saying. And I guess you got to be, 40 plus to even know what I'm saying there. Our coverage is brought to you today by Xfinity, by First Tire and Automotive, the Needville Insurance Agency, Nick's Italian Restaurant, Archer Volkswagen, and the Office Depot, Southwest Freeway at Williams Trace in Sugar Land. They take care of business every day so we can take care of business and bring you Fort Bend County broadcasts every single week. Multiple ones, of course. We'll be back with the opening kickoff.
Hi, this is Mariela
and Melina coming to you from Nick's Italian Restaurant, where you can come and try one of our house specialties, the Nick's Shrimp, or one of our chicken pistachios. Not in the mood for food, you can also try one of our savory desserts like our homemade tiramisu or cannoli.
We're located on FM 1464, just north of Austin High School.
Can't dine in? You can call ahead at 346-401-1546 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can hit us on one of the major delivery platforms, Uber, Grubhub, or DoorDash.
We look forward to seeing you here at Nick's Italian Restaurant, where our family gets bigger every time you stop by.
Fort Bend County High School Sports on VypeFortBend.com, brought to you today by Xfinity, the future of awesome, by Nick's Italian Restaurant on FM 1464 in Sugar Land, just north of Austin High School. At Nick's, their family gets bigger every time you stop by. By First Tire and Automotive, with 4 great locations, including Katy Cinco Ranch, open Monday through Saturday. Visit firsttireandauto.com. By Archer Volkswagen, 10,400 Southwest Freeway, just inside the Sam Houston Tollway, and as it's been since Robert P. Archer founded it in 1956, Archer Volkswagen is still family-owned and operated, and you'll feel like family when you're there. By the Needville Insurance Agency, Bradley Stavanaugh and his team are your hometown trusted agents. They'll shop around to get you the best rate and make insurance easy for you. The best deal is not the one in your mailbox, and you don't need to be listening to a gecko, no matter how adorable he is. Call the Needville Insurance Agency, 979-793-7411 or needvilleinsurance.com. And by Office Depot, Southwest Freeway at Williams Trace in Sugar Land, helping us take care of business every day so we can bring you the action on VypeFortBend.com every week. James Kovaleski and I will be right back.
Archer Volkswagen showroom is open, and our team's excited to help you. Visit our sales department Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or bring your car in for service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're closed on Sundays to rest and recharge with our families, so we can serve you well through the week. We hope to see you soon.
Hello fans, this is Bradley Stavanaugh with Needville Insurance. We know Fort Bend County. I'm a 4th generation resident of Fort Bend. I'm your local, hometown, trusted agent. With over 30 carriers and 9 auto insurance carriers, we shop the insurance for you. We know insurance is hard. We know it's complicated. We make it easy for you. We have Spanish speakers here available for you. Call us at 979-793-7411 or needvilleinsurance.com. Once again, call us 979-793-7411.
It's that time of year where you hear people using the S word. September, that is. Occasionally, you can hear the great employees at First Tire and Automotive using another S word with customers. Savings. Fall specials include 50% off an oil change. Now's the time to make sure your auto is ready to kick off the season in tip-top shape. Head to the website firsttireandauto.com and claim your savings. First Tire and Automotive, a proud sponsor of Fort Bend Vype Sports. Make your appointment today at any of the 4 convenient locations in Sugar Land and Cinco Ranch. All 4 stores open on Saturday. firsttireandauto.com.
All right, fans, you're about to hear a cheer as the Marshall Buffs are assembled at the south end of Hall Stadium. They're about to run onto the field, and they come into this game, of course, undefeated. They did play Galena Park last week in the first district game of the year, and they are expected to dominate this game. In fact, they even have a player who is doing backflips, Gerard Howard. Actually, I think Coach Williams told me the young man's name is pronounced Jared. Jared Howard doing backflips as the team runs out onto the field. And Kovo, there are few things I want to ask you about what's going on in Aldine. Some things that might be surprising and unusual, a team on the rise or so forth, and there's some things that I've noticed all over the state of Texas that are just truly amazing and interesting deals. Unlikely finishes, and something interesting going on out there in El Paso, a team that broke a 53-game losing streak. El Paso Socorro Bulldogs. Well, we're getting ready for the Star-Spangled Banner. We will step aside here just a moment and be back with the opening kickoff of the game between Marshall and these Northside Panthers. We'll be right back. This is VypeFortBend.com.
Are you ready?
Ready for anything. For what life throws at you, at your kids.
Are they ready to study, research, write papers?
To do all the amazing things they don't even know they're capable of yet.
Internet Essentials from Comcast brings affordable, high-speed internet to your home for only $9.95 a month. Now available to low-income households eligible for public assistance programs like Medicaid, the National School Lunch Program, SNAP, housing assistance, and others. Visit InternetEssentials.com to apply. No credit check, contract, or installation fee. Taxes, extra restrictions apply.
Hey high schoolers, are you interested in a career in sports media? Vype can help. Launched in 2017, our Vype U Ambassador Program is a one-of-a-kind educational scholarship program that offers high school students a chance to gain hands-on experience in the sports media field. Vype U also gives students a platform to build their portfolio of creative work under the guidance of Vype's seasoned professionals. From covering games to publishing photos, writing articles, and conducting on-camera interviews, each Vype U ambassador receives an immersive experience geared toward their interests, while promoting their own school and preparing them for their future. Email info@vypemedia.com to find out more about Vype U today.
Hi, this is Mariela
and Melina coming to you from Nick's Italian Restaurant, where you can come and try one of our house specialties, the Nick's Shrimp, or one of our chicken pistachios. Not in the mood for food, you can also try one of our savory desserts like our homemade tiramisu or cannoli.
We're located on FM 1464, just north of Austin High School.
Can't dine in? You can call ahead at 346-401-1546 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can hit us on one of the major delivery platforms, Uber, Grubhub, or DoorDash.
We look forward to seeing you here at Nick's Italian Restaurant, where our family gets bigger every time you stop by.
Archer Volkswagen showroom is open, and our team's excited to help you. Visit our sales department Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or bring your car in for service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're closed on Sundays to rest and recharge with our families, so we can serve you well through the week. We hope to see you soon.
All right, James Kovaleski, let's talk about the Archer Volkswagen keys to victory. And normally, I guess I should have kind of prepped you for this and said, just think about what you're going to say. But I have an idea for a key to victory for Northside. And that is, there needs to be an earthquake a little bit north of here that would take out a bridge on the Fort Bend Tollway, and the Buffs couldn't get here to play the game. But that boat has sailed. The Buffs are here. They're suited up, they're warmed up, and they are ready to go. So I know that if you're going into a game like this where you feel like you really have nothing to lose, maybe Northside has been able to install a couple of gadget plays. If it's the right time to use them, I'm not sure if they have the personnel, but if you're going to pull those out of the bag and use them, you have to execute them well. If you try one and it doesn't really work, it seems like you're even farther behind. Any ideas for other keys to victory for Northside?
Yeah, on that one, I'm gonna respectfully probably disagree with you on that one. I feel like they know they're not going to win this game. So if you do have gadget plays that you can use later on in the district slate with games that you can win, maybe against a Waltrip or something like that, you're probably safe. You don't want that on film. You don't want to put that out on film now so that Waltrip can see it and defend it. So I think they're going to be pretty vanilla. I think they're just going to, just like Coach Williams said, I think they're going to play their base offense and defense and against a superior opponent and just try to get better. I think they're going to try to limit the number of snaps. Obviously, you can tell they don't have good numbers on their team. The Vype season preview, Coach Porter was saying like health is a big priority this year, just making it through games healthy. So I think you're going to see a lot of running the football, keeping the clock going. I think they're just going to try to minimize the number of snaps and get home healthy.
Well, you've made your living coaching, so I'll defer to you. So you're probably right. I'm just kind of hoping that the game will stay competitive, and I know it's going to be brutally hot out there. And Northside, we can tell from looking, they don't have 30 players on their roster. It's pretty thin, and so it's going to be very taxing in the heat. I'm sure they have a few players that will play offense and defense.
I actually live pretty close to Northside High School, and I'd go run up at the track sometimes, and I saw a team working out one time last year, and that may be their entire program. I don't even know that they have a JV and a freshman. You know what I mean? So the numbers are a big problem for them. It's going to – I bet you there's a lot of freshmen on that sideline right now about to square off against the Buffaloes, which is going to be tough.
All right, the Marshall Buffs are going to receive the football to begin this game. And we'll give you their offense real quickly here. Their Z receiver is Rundrick Dudley. Used to be a running back last year.
First team all-district running back I saw. Yeah.
All the way across the front, Anthony Chapman, Christian Williams, Demetrius Charles, Jerron Wallace, and Camden Williams. They have it's a Mount Rushmore +1, I guess, for an offensive line in Class 5A Division II. Their ex-receiver, Jayon Johnson. Kevon Misher is at the Y receiver. Jeffrey McWilliams plays tight end. Aaron McGowan is the feature running back. Jared Howard will spell him. And Jacoby Banks calling the signals for these I did a Ridge Point game last night. Ridge Point Panthers. The Marshall Buffs, who, depending on which poll you look at, they are ranked number 2 in the state in Class 5A Division II. Some polls combine both the Divisions 1 and 2, and they just take all of the 5A teams, and others split it up. But either way, no matter where you look, Marshall is ranked in the top 5 of a statewide poll. Their captains during the coin toss were Terrence Fontenot, Jay-Sean Prosper, Jared Howard, and Corell Harris. And so the Northside Panthers in their all-white uniforms with the purple numerals and the silver helmets are going to kick off from the middle of the field, looking like they might even try an onside kick. I don't know here. Eduardo Arguello is their kicker. He's a left-footed kicker. And he gets the ball in not very far in the air. It is an onside kick, and it's recovered by Marshall at the 44. It did skitter around there for a moment, but they secure possession and take over.
Maybe you're right, Roger. I mean, maybe they are going to pull out some stops today to try to make this thing interesting, but I would kind of feel like this is a good time to work on your onside kick. I mean, honestly, like I said, I think this game is going to get out of hand fairly quickly. So why not work on those things that maybe in a tight ball game against Waltrip later on in the year, like that could win you the game. So I totally agree with Coach Porter doing that. It's going to put his defense a little bit of a tough spot with the giving Marshall good field position. But you if you kick it off deep to Marshall, they may just run it back on the first play.
Mike Porter is the head coach of Northside, as Kovo said, a 4-man front. And now it is the drop back. Jacoby Banks stepping up into the pocket, far down the near sideline. Open man, got a catch over the shoulder. Touchdown, Marshall Buffs. And how about that? Let's measure it. It goes 66 yards. It's a Archer Volkswagen scoring drive of 66 yards. It takes one play and lasts 15 seconds. And it's a 66-yard pass from Jacoby Banks.
Yeah,
to Kevon Misher.
Yeah, Northside is playing what we call man-free there. They had man-to-man coverage underneath of one center fielder, deep free safety in the middle. By the numbers, Marshall probably would run the football in a competitive game, but here they can do whatever they want to. Coach Williams dialing up the pass in the first play.
Miguel Diaz on to add the extra point. The kick is up, and the kick is good. We have a score. 15 seconds into the game, 7-0. Marshall over Northside. We'll be back on VypeFortBend.com.
Hello, fans. This is Bradley Stavanaugh with Needville Insurance. We know Fort Bend County. I'm a fourth-generation resident of Fort Bend. I'm your local, hometown, trusted agent. With over 30 carriers and 9 auto insurance carriers, we shop the insurance for you. We know insurance is hard. We know it's complicated. We make it easy for you. We have Spanish speakers here available for you. Call us at 979-793-7411 or NeedvilleInsurance.com. Once again, call us 979-793-7411.
We see all you do to get work done, whether it's keeping your office clean or redesigning your space for 3 or 300. Our business is to keep business going. Buy online and pick up in store or get free next business day shipping at Office Depot, OfficeMax, and OfficeDepot.com.
Jacoby Banks of Marshall threw a beautiful deep ball to Kevon Misher. He caught it right in stride, and Marshall is already up 7-0. Here is the kickoff from Andreas Phillips Purvis. It's a short one and a quick tackle after the ball is caught by one of the Panthers, dropped at the 31-yard line. Making the catch there for Northside was Jeremiah Rodriguez.
Man, I got to highlight number 17 for the Panthers, Gilberto Barragon, the sophomore receiver. It says receiver/defensive lineman. 5'7", 155, so you don't see that every day. But he had a pancake right there on the kickoff return.
So he pancaked
somebody. So
wow.
I mean, he's getting after it, the little guy. But that I can see why they stick him on the defensive line, apparently, because he's got some scrap to him.
I've known some guys that are on high school defensive lines who are 5'7", but that's usually, they have a big weight. And he's kind of slim and trim in 5'7".
He's tight end. He's lined up at tight end right now.
I formation for Northside, one receiver to either side, and it's a hand up straight up the middle and buried in the backfield. That play is going nowhere. Jaden Harris got the football, and it was a team portrait of the Marshall defense that greeted him, and it's a 3-yard loss. It'll be 2nd down and 7. The starters for the Marshall Buffs, Godfrey Johnson, Lawrence Tillman, Correll Harris, who was one of the captains, Logan Granville, that's the defensive line. The linebackers, Caleb Cossey, Jordan Sample, and A.J. Halsey. At cornerbacks, Chris Stevens and Mike Patterson, and the safeties, Donovan Jackson and Jacoby Chester. I underestimated the tackle for loss. It was actually a loss of 5. So it's 2nd down and 15. And it looks like a little bit of trouble with the snap and a delayed handoff, and it's another tackle for loss, this time for 2 yards. And again, the carrier on the play was number 33, Jaden Harris. So that brings up a 3rd down and 17, and we'll see just how willing Northside is to pass in this football game.
I wouldn't do it right now. I'd just run a toss play and then punt it away. You're pretty deep in your own territory, and I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see what kind of punter they have. A lot of times, some of these schools do have strong soccer programs that, in the inner city, and so maybe they have a good punter that can at least just give them some breathing room, because right now they're pretty deep in their own territory.
I'm sorry, Joe. Kovo. Tight end on the right, 2 receivers on the left. Roll out, looking down the field. Look out! It's a big sack. Dropping back to pass was Justin Charqueño, the quarterback, but he got a face full of Lawrence Tillman, the big defensive tackle who moves so well for such a big dude, a run stopper type, and he just blew him up way back at the 17, and it's definitely going to be punt time. They did try to throw it, and he did have a little bit of time, but the time evaporated quickly.
Yeah, Tillman's a first-team All-District pick last year as a junior, but that's why I wouldn't have passed. You put yourself maybe it won't matter when it all comes out in the wash, but you put yourself so far back when you take a sack like that. I just want to get a couple positive plays and work on my punting, work on my special teams.
Edward Arguello to punt, and he just gets it away, and it's toward the left sideline and flies out of bounds. He was hit. I think the ball might have been deflected. It did look to me like he was hit. Did you see him hit?
No, he was definitely pressured. I mean,
okay.
The rush was bearing down on him, and kind of got a little bit of I wouldn't call it a shank, but kind of a helicopter style.
Yeah, as soon as the ball flies off the punter's foot, I kind of follow the ball if it's possible to keep my one eye on the punter. But I guess he didn't get hit, but the pressure was heavy. And he didn't line up that far back from the line of scrimmage. I think that was significant.
No, that was not a good deep snap, and that's an issue. Their deep snapper isn't at the highest level, so they're having to move him up, so the rush is getting the punter up, so the rush gets there faster.
They mark it at the 35, 1st and 10 from there for Marshall. Flushed out of the pocket is Banks, throws end zone, Misher, touchdown right inside the left pylon, and 2 one-play scoring drives make it 13-0 Marshall with the extra point to come. That Archer Volkswagen scoring drive lasted 1 play, and it went 35 yards, took 7 seconds, and it was capped off by that 35-yard pass from Banks to Misher, and they are making music here early.
Yeah, 2 for 2. I knew this game. I knew there was a mismatch, but I didn't know it'd be literally a score, a play, so for the Buffaloes early on.
Well, the kick is up and good by Miguel Diaz, and I guess I don't know how to calculate quarterback rating, but whatever is the highest possible quarterback rating, Jacoby Banks has it in this game right now. We'll step aside and be back. This is VypeFortBend.com.
It's that time of year where you hear people using the S word. September, that is. Occasionally, you can hear the great employees at First Tire and Automotive using another S word with customers. Savings. Fall specials include 50% off an oil change. Now's the time to make sure your auto is ready to kick off the season in tip-top shape. Head to the website firsttireandauto.com and claim your savings. First Tire and Automotive, a proud sponsor of Fort Bend Vype Sports. Make your appointment today at any of the 4 convenient locations in Sugar Land and Cinco Ranch. All 4 stores open on Saturday. firsttireandauto.com.
Okay, folks, you're well-informed fans. You know football, and you realize that 9:04 to go in the first quarter, and it's already 14-0 Marshall. This game may not be competitive throughout, but I will tell you this. You need to stick around at least until halftime, because we have a great halftime show that includes Craig Way, the voice of the Texas Longhorns radio network, and also one of the hosts of High School Scoreboard Live, which is a tour de force. It is a social phenomenon in the state of Texas. Kovo, do you watch High School Scoreboard Live every week? I never miss it.
I don't, but I mean I'm well aware of what you're talking about, and they do a great job.
Diaz kicks off, and it's going to come down at the 16-yard line and a return up the left sideline, a pretty decent one, out to the 28-yard line. The guy who had the ball in his hands was Antoine Howard. And, Kovo, the thing about High School Scoreboard Live, it's a 2-hour show. I know you don't have that kind of time.
Right.
But you can fast forward through it, and you can kind of stop it when you see the teams that are of interest to you. But if you did, for whatever reason, want to watch the whole thing, I mean, it's good stuff. They do have a lot of commercial breaks. I'll say that. A lot of commercial breaks, and they're pretty long. However, it has to win the award for its category of show because there is no other show like it. It's really amazing. They interview coaches on Zoom on the bus coming home from a big win.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. From the 28, looks like Northside's going to pass on first down, and it looks like they're going to get sacked again. Unable to get the ball out of his hands, Justin Charqueño running for his life, and the sack goes to Logan Granville. And I think there's already some jawing going on, and you really don't need to do that. If you're Marshall, you know you're going to win this game easily. But if you're Northside, you don't want to provoke Marshall. You don't want to be saying something that makes them unleash even more of their power than they already are.
Could they do any more than they are?
Yeah.
I don't know if it get any worse for Northside.
Yeah, I guess so.
If I was Northside, honestly, like, I've always thought about this. I mean, I was at Aldine, and my career record was 2-18. So I've been in some of these situations when we'd have to go against Westfield in spring. Where it's just a total mismatch. And if I could do one thing differently, I think I would run the option. If I go back in time.
Jaden Harris dotting the I. Second and very long, and they give it to Harris, and he slips when he tries to make his cut. And the reason he was trying to make a cut was he was trying to avoid Lawrence Tillman, who got 2 yards deep into the backfield right as Jaden was getting the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is, either the option or like a wing T, slot T type offense, just something unorthodox.
Yeah.
Kind of like how the service academies at the college level, they all run the option. That's because they don't have blue chip athletes. So they're trying to find a way to level that playing field when they're in an athletic disadvantage. And I think unorthodox offenses give you that. So Northside's running out of a pro set, like a tight end, fullback, like you'd see on a Sunday. I just think there's no way out of that type of offense they can. I think that their limitations are going to be like exemplified tonight. I think if they were in the flex mode and run the option, they'd give themselves at least a little bit better shot.
But they're in that basic pro set with the I. There's another drop back, roll out into the end zone, now gets out of the end zone, and a rush to the sideline to try and avoid a sack, but it is yet another sack, and the guy who gets credit for that one, Jordan Sample, as this Marshall defense, despite having a few players missing, they certainly have imposing athletes all across the defensive front and in the secondary. And one thing that you noticed on the updated roster or you were looking around and you noticed that Chris Marshall is not part of the game today, and all is well. It's just a matter of protocols and taking precautions, and they don't need Chris Marshall, their stud wide receiver, to win this game. And here comes another punt, and he's only 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Better look out. The snap is on target. He does get it away. Punts toward the far sideline, and this is going to be downed or spotted in right at the edge of the red zone, just inside the 20-yard line. So Marshall already up 14-0, and they have the ball at the 20 of Northside.
And just to put a bow on that, my last thought, I mean, the other thing I like about the option or those types of offenses, that they're run-centric, and it helps the clock. It helps bleed the clock, and you don't take losses. Like almost every time that Northside has tried to drop back for a pass, they've been sacked for an 8-yard loss. And so that just really makes it completely impossible and easy for things to get out of hand. So, like I said, I'd run the option, three veer fullback dives, and at least you can punt on 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 5 and not a 3rd and 18 or something.
Every time you say something, I think of a couple of good follow-up questions. Banks drops back, throws to the left, got a man open. A flag comes in as running into the end zone for Marshall is Jaden Johnson, but hold on. I think they're going to catch one of his mates holding a cornerback on the left side, the offense's left side, and this will probably come back. So that's the first time today that Marshall has done anything wrong at all.
Yeah, I do like to point out when these games get out of hand, I really like to look for diamonds in the rough on the opponent. And, I don't know, I feel like number 22, Kendall Carter, sophomore defensive end, he's doing a nice job giving some effort there on the speed rush from his left end position. He's not beating the right tackle by any means, but I like the effort on the speed rush. So I've just seen good effort out of him. You got number 33, Jaden Harris at inside linebacker. He's the running back on the offensive side of the ball. So that's another thing to point out. These Northside kids are playing both ways.
Yeah.
So it just makes it really difficult.
It is a tough day. Banks drops back, throws it immediately out into the flat, and it's a very short gain. Got the ball to Terrence Fontenot, and he was tripped up out there by Gilberto Barragon, who is the quarterback, right?
I was just going to talk about, I mentioned Kendall Carter, the edge rusher. He just did a complete late hit on Banks.
Call.
A good full count after Jacoby Banks had thrown that football. Kendall Carter came in, just shoved him in the back, and Banks is looking at the refs like, come on, you didn't see that? So I'm surprised that wasn't flagged.
So there's a short gain, but it gets them near the original line of scrimmage, 2nd and 11. Banks pulls it down. He's going to run lots of green field turf in front of him and straight between the hash marks into the end zone. Didn't even have to shift into his highest gear to get there. And it's, see, how long was that? I believe that was a 22-yard touchdown run for Banks. And, you mentioned Kendall Carter. Because he's a sophomore for Northside, I'm going to say that you got Comcast and Xfinity, the future of awesome, and he's the player with an awesome future despite the way things are going for his team today. Kendall Carter of Northside, just a sophomore.
I'll let you narrate this play.
You can tell him.
Well, the kick
Diaz.
is good. Kick is good. Now, here's the thing for Northside, Roger. Last year, they had an elite quarterback, Ronald Holmes. I mean, Ronald Holmes, although be it on a losing team, he could play for anybody in the state. And so he actually gave them that option to throw the football and do it effectively, even with inferior talent around him. That's just not the case. Ronald Holmes has moved on. We talked to one of the coaches in pregame. He is looking to transfer to Prairie View. So he's gonna be a Panther. I got to go to the Labor Day Classic this year, TSU and Prairie View, and I can tell you, Prairie View's got a really good football program. A couple years ago, I went out to their stadium up there. I mean, it's just a beautiful facility. So I think that's all really positive for Ronald Holmes. He's stepping into a great situation with the Panthers, and I think his talents are gonna be put to full use out there.
So he's going to be a Purple Panther for 7 or 8 years.
That's right. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. Right, he's been a Purple Panther for all of his football career, for sure.
You know what Prairie View means to Marshall, and that is that they lost to College Station for the first of 2 consecutive playoff years. They played in the beautiful Prairie View Stadium, and it was just one of those bitter 7-point losses where they should have won. Dang it. All right, here is the kickoff, and Northside fumbles it. They muff it, actually. The ball is loose. Bug on the rug, and Marshall has it. Oh, my goodness, 28-yard line. Terrence Fontenot, maybe, who jumped on it, or was it actually Rene Urbina? Urbina jumps on it.
One of the questions I was going to ask you in pregame, Roger, is at what point do they start going running clock? And it's already happened here in the first quarter, so the clock should have stopped right there, and it was running. So I think that's a good decision. That's one thing we talked about. It's unusual to play an 11 o'clock kickoff. The only times you play 11 o'clock kickoffs is like if you got rained out on a Friday night. Like, let's say there was a big lightning delay for this game last night. Sometimes you'll come back the next morning and play it. So when I saw this on the schedule, I was kind of really – it's unusual this early in the fall. Like, we're still in the middle of September. It's still very hot and humid to play this kind of kickoff time. But as we know, the reason is Mercer is shut down this year for construction, so it's been a scheduling nightmare. That's why they had to squeeze this one in at 11 o'clock.
Two Panthers came together to try and catch that kickoff, and the ball was loose. And, to your point about the running clocks, there were multiple games where we had Marshall, so far ahead of an opponent that they just went ahead and ran the clock. But a couple of things that you said that I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned your time at Aldine and what it was like to play Westfield. And I can honestly say that Patrick Kinnick and I were both not surprised when Westfield beat North Shore, because Westfield looked so good when they beat up on Hightower here in a game that we broadcasted. And I know that North Shore, great as their program is, great as Coach John Kay is, they did lose quite a few superstars. Sure. And so Westfield has a brutal defensive front. I mean, they are all over you. So
that's really cool that you got to see them in person, because, I have not seen either team play this year. So just on pedigree, obviously Westfield has a very rich tradition, but, North Shore has been stronger in the past several years. So I was expecting a Mustang win there, but that's good that you got to see him in person.
Which Mustang?
North Shore Mustang win.
You had
yeah, good point.
North Shore, and there was another. We had Panthers versus Panthers last Saturday night. Ridge Point and C.E. King.
Right.
We had Mustangs versus Mustangs. A stack of receivers on the left side. Jai-Adrian Wortham goes in motion to the right. Now a quick little screen, and it's going to go for big yardage. Rundrick Dudley inside, then outside, just inside the left pylon, and it is a touchdown from 28 yards away. And the clock continues to tick, as Kovo noted moments ago. And we're going to have to make sure we get all our commercials in. It won't be easy. But I did mention the halftime before. Even if for some reason they might decide not to play the second half, we are going to have those interviews, not just with Craig Way of High School Scoreboard Live, but also with Robert Archer of Archer Volkswagen. He's got some great stories. It'll be worth hanging around for that.
Yeah, Roger, obviously there's no wagering in high school athletics, but I was driving up here, and in my head, I set the over-under at 70. And, that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know if it'll get there. I think obviously the clock, the way the clock is managed is going to really dictate a lot of that. I think it's going to continue to – they're not doing a full running clock. Like, they've now stopped it, but you can tell that the clock keeper is keeping some liberties to let it run a couple extra seconds here in the first quarter.
Extra point good by Diaz. We'll step aside. Our new score, 28-0 with 4.5 minutes to go in the first. This is VypeFortBend.com.
Every day, someone comes up to me and says, Amy, how amazing is Xfinity Internet? And I always say, guys, I could go on and on about how it gives you more than just fast speeds for all your work, school, and everything from home needs, but I have places to be. I'd also mention you can save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile and get nationwide 5G at no extra cost. But I gotta run. I have a thing. Really, it happens all the time. Can your internet do that?
Get started with Xfinity Internet for $19.99 a month for 12 months with a one-year agreement and get a special offer of $100 back when you sign up online. Plus, save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 9/21/21. Restrictions apply. New Performance Starter Plus Internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Compares pricing of top carriers. Xfinity Internet
Kickoff
required.
is a fair catch, and Northside will take over at their 25-yard line, trailing 28-0. It's been, I've had an old friend named Bernard Brooks when I lived in Abilene, Texas, and one time he said, so-and-so beat Brownwood like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way this game has gone almost.
I can give you some perspective, being at Aldine, and, I had to have some of these conversations with the opposing coach, like Matt Meekins at Westfield, as far as how we're going to handle the running clock, like when it would be eligible to start running.
Yeah.
Because I understand Coach Porter's predicament, as far as, like, you're very low on numbers. We didn't have very good depth. Like, you don't want to lose any of your star guys that you need in those one or two games that you can win during the season. You don't want to lose them here. So I understand definitely the dynamics there.
Barregon under center, two backs behind him, turns around and gives it to Jaden. Poor Jaden. He's just having a rough day already. Jaden Harris tackled for a 2-yard loss. Getting through to make the play for your Marshall Buffs, Corell Harris, but he wasn't the only one.
So when you talk of some of these teams facing a team like a Northside, like those coaches they didn't want to necessarily run the clock too early because they wanted reps, right? It's not their fault that we were struggling, so they wanted to get their guys in. They wanted to let their backups get reps and develop them. And so if you're Coach Williams, it's got to be frustrating that you have so many talented players. Probably your second and third stringers could start at most of the other high schools, in the Houston area. And so it's got to be tough when these games always turn into running clock situations. Like, you're not getting the reps necessary to allow you to develop it in a game situation.
And Marshall is able to sub guys in. Corin Randalls is at left defensive tackle. He's a sophomore, and he makes the tackle right there, although it's not quite a tackle for loss, as nice effort on the part of Jaden Harris, who somehow gains a yard out of it. That sets up a third down and 11, and Comcast and Xfinity are the future of awesome. And I think Corin Randall's one of those sophomore linemen. He's only going to get bigger and stronger, and he has got an awesome future for the Buffs.
And then on the flip side of it, I just saw number 70 for the Panthers, Prince Allen, 5'8", 280, freshman offensive lineman. He's the center, I believe. He was blocking hard after the whistle, so that kid's got a bright future for sure as well.
Yeah, and I would say Randall's he wasn't the guy that the center was supposed to be blocking. So the center was doing his job. Third down and 11, it's a draw play, and it's a tackle for a loss of 1.
In this situation, I'm really curious what Coach Williams thinks, because it's just, this is so mismatched that I don't know how much he's really getting out of it. You know what I mean? Like, so far they've literally scored on every play they've run. There hasn't even been one time Northside's been able to successfully make a tackle or there's been an incompletion. So, I wonder what Coach Williams thinks, that maybe it's not even worth the injury risk or this, that, and the other. Are they getting anything? That's why I know Coach Williams treats his practices like game days.
Yeah.
They did an awesome feature on the Buffs on KHOU recently, and that was one of the things he really stressed was, like, it's game day at practice for them, for sure.
High snap, and it gets loose. Tackled inside the 10. Ball skitters into the end zone, and the Buffs jump on it, and that's instant touchdown. Mike Patterson jumps on it, and it's another touchdown for the Buffs. This time, the special teams get them on the board.
And that's the difference. Like, when I'm comparing my history with Aldine and Spring Westfield, it was nothing like this. You know what I mean? Like, they were much better than us, but we were making tackles. We weren't snapping it over the head. I mean, one thing that was pretty cool, that game finished 61 for Westfield. We scored 14 on them. My quarterback that year was only a sophomore, but he now plays running back at Texas Southern. So his name was Ja'Cory Howard. He's a great kid, and we had him. And he threw 2 long touchdown passes. So we were actually pretty proud of ourselves leaving Leonard George Stadium that afternoon.
Miguel Diaz with the extra point kick. It's good, 35-0, 1:46 to go in the first quarter. Yes, that's right, the first quarter. Roger Smith and James Kovaleski will be back on VypeFortBend.com.
Hi, this is Mariela
and Melina coming to you from Nick's Italian Restaurant, where you can come and try one of our house specialties, the Nick's Shrimp, or one of our chicken pistachios. Not in the mood for food, you can also try one of our savory desserts like our homemade tiramisu or cannoli.
We're located on FM 1464, just north of Austin High School.
Can't dine in? You can call ahead at 346-401-1546 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can hit us on one of the major delivery platforms, Uber, Grubhub, or DoorDash.
We look forward to seeing you here at Nick's Italian Restaurant, where our family gets bigger every time you stop by.
It's that time of year where you hear people using the S word. September, that is. Occasionally, you can hear the great employees at First Tire and Automotive using another S word with customers. Savings. Fall specials include 50% off an oil change. Now's the time to make sure your auto is ready to kick off the season in tip-top shape. Head to the website firsttireandauto.com and claim your savings. First Tire and Automotive, a proud sponsor of Fort Bend Vype Sports. Make your appointment today at any of the 4 convenient locations in Sugar Land and Cinco Ranch. All 4 stores open on Saturday. firsttireandauto.com.
It's another short kickoff for Marshall. Penalty flags come in. Ball was loose. And was that a deliberate onside kick? I was kind of making sure we got out of the commercial.
It wasn't a traditional onside. It was just kind of more just a high pooch. kind of a high short pooch, and that was number 17, Badagon, who I've been impressed with early, unable to field it cleanly. Roger, can I interest you in some trivia?
Absolutely.
So
I don't care if I don't know.
In that 2016-2017 season, my last year at Aldine, I was referencing our game against Spring Westfield. Do you know which team scored the most points against the Westfield Mustangs in district play that year?
It's got to be the Aldine Mustangs.
It was the Aldine
Mustangs.
Mustangs.
Would not be asking me that question.
It was the 0-10 Aldine Mustangs.
Congratulations.
Scored 14 on them. The next closest was Spring, scored 13 against them in a 46-13 loss.
Wow.
So we did some good things. And that's the thing. We didn't win a game that year, but we were. I don't know if you call a 61-14 game competitive, but we weren't getting embarrassed either. You know what I mean? We could hang around in there. We were fighting to the end, and I thought that was a pretty cool little piece of trivia.
All right, and the reason we have time to talk about that, and I kind of, as soon as I heard 3/4 of the question, I think I knew where you were going with it. And you should hang your hat on that.
I'm proud of that one.
Be proud of it, yeah. Well, Coach Williams was talking to the referee, and there is a penalty against the Buffs on the kickoff. And so for the first time today, Northside has the ball in Marshall territory. Personal foul on Jason Prosper. Uh-oh. Oh, did he say one more and he's disqualified, or is he disqualified? I didn't quite get that.
I thought I heard he said he's disqualified.
Okay, well, that's what I thought I heard too. Oh. But it's not going to hurt the Buffs' cause. They have plenty of guys who are capable of going out there and doing the job that Prosper was going to do. By the way, last night on High School Scoreboard Live, saw an amazing thing. McKinney Boyd was playing Byron Nelson. Byron Nelson scored with less than a minute left to tie the game at 26. All they had to do was kick the extra point, and they're probably going to win. What happened was, it was either a botched snap or a blocked extra point. Their kicker chases it back to about the 30, picks it up, turns around, wants to try and do something, gets hit. The ball comes out, and there's nobody there except McKinney Boyd players. So they scoop it up and run it all the way back. So you go from all we need to win this game is an extra point kick right here, and it's 2 points going the other way, and McKinney Boyd beats Byron Nelson 28-26.
Wow.
And that was the same score when C.E. King beat Ridgepoint here last Saturday night. Ridgepoint scored on an untimed down on the final play of the game with a touchdown pass to Stefan Pisapia. And I asked his parents how to say his name, so I know I'm saying it right. And so Pisapia catches that touchdown pass on the final play of the game. And then so Ridgepoint had to have a two-pointer to tie it and force overtime, and they ran B.J. Emanuel to the right. He was unable to score, and so we didn't get overtime, and that's why Ridgepoint was not 3-0 in the pre-district season, but I think that might serve them well going forward.
You know what I would love to see, and I don't know how this rivalry kind of went away after Marshall dropped down to 5A. I'd love to see Ridgepoint and Marshall in the non-district play. Maybe Coach LaFavors and Coach Williams can kind of bring that back. I mean, they're separated by just a handful of miles here in Missouri City, so that would be really good. I mean, those are, to me, the two best teams in our area, in this immediate area in Fort Bend. So I'm as a fan, I want to see that. So maybe next time we get to interview Jay Coach Williams before the game, we can ask him about if that rivalry is ever coming back.
Okay, if you're wondering, why are Roger and Kovo talking about so much? Well, there have been penalties, and now the kickoff is being repeated. Phillips Purvis kicks one that bounces and is simply covered up at the 32-yard line by Northside. They had started to run a play, and then they decided, you know what, the personal foul, we need to enforce that on the kickoff. And so Marshall kicked off from its 25, and it's not going to be what Northside would have loved, which is having the ball at the 48 of Marshall.
It's net negative there on field position there.
Yeah, they did lose it, but that's better field position than they've had most of the time.
So B.J. Emanuel, huh? I never heard him referred to as B. So
yeah, well,
Bert Emanuel Jr.
It's kind of like here on my roster, there's Adari Halsey, but I know they call him AJ, so I
Okay.
just call him AJ. And the same thing with Bert Emanuel Jr. I just call him BJ
Yeah,
because that's what
great.
most people call him.
That's hard-hitting journalism. I did not, I did not realize. Yeah, I just haven't been able to pick up on those nicknames. That's awesome.
No, Kovo, hard-hitting journalism is dead. All right, 34-yard line, Northside trailing 35-0. We're not done with the first quarter just yet. Barregon hands it off on a draw play. Jaden Harris tries the middle, gets hit for a loss of 1 yard. They didn't actually bring him to the turf. The whistles blew, mercifully. And coming up from one of his safety positions, second tackle actually, of the game for Jordan Sample of the Marshall Buffs, wearing their black home jerseys, which on a day like today, wish you had maybe some gold jerseys that wouldn't absorb so much of the sun's heat.
Right.
They've got their gold helmets with the large black capital M that says block inside the font of the letter M, because this is M block wherever they play. Second down and 11. Long count Barregon and a whistle. Timeout Marshall will take one with him. This is VypeFortBend.com.
Hi, this is Mariela
and Melina coming to you from Nick's Italian Restaurant, where you can come and try one of our house specialties, the Nick's Shrimp, or one of our chicken pistachios. Not in the mood for food, you can also try one of our savory desserts like our homemade tiramisu or cannoli.
We're located on FM 1464, just north of Austin High School.
Can't dine in? You can call ahead at 346-401-1546 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can hit us on one of the major delivery platforms, Uber, Grubhub, or DoorDash.
We look forward to seeing you here at Nick's Italian Restaurant, where our family gets bigger every time you stop by.
Archer Volkswagen showroom is open, and our team's excited to help you. Visit our sales department Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or bring your car in for service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're closed on Sundays to rest and recharge with our families, so we can serve you well through the week. We hope to see you soon.
After the Marshall timeout, second and 11 for Northside. Barregon hands it off to Harris, hit in the backfield, backtracks to try and get away from the traffic, but he simply cannot get away. And another tackle for Jordan Sample, and getting half of that tackle, I think, was Trent Thomas. And so it's just tackle for loss or sack on every play, or a punt. And mercifully, the first quarter is over, 35-0. We'll be back on VypeFortBend.com.
Every day, someone comes up to me and says, Amy, how amazing is Xfinity Internet? And I always say, guys, I could go on and on about how it gives you more than just fast speeds for all your work, school, and everything from home needs, but I have places to be. I'd also mention you can save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile and get nationwide 5G at no extra cost. But I gotta run. I have a thing. Really, it happens all the time. Can your internet do that?
Get started with Xfinity Internet for $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement and get a special offer of $100 back when you sign up online. Plus, save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 9/21/21. Restrictions apply. New Performance Starter Plus Internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Compares pricing of top carriers. Xfinity Internet required.
We start the second quarter with Northside moving from right to left from their own 25 with a third down and 19. Barregon in the eye, fakes it to Harris, rolls right, throws deep down the middle into a crowd, and the pass is almost intercepted. Tipped, and it almost ended up in the hands of Jason Prosper. So I guess Prosper didn't get kicked out. He's still in the game.
Maybe it's hard to hear with our headsets on what the referees.
It's not just that, but they just don't have the clearest audio of the referee telling us what happened. So
it's funny you bring up. I was going to say you bring up like the black jerseys. Like, as you know, I played football for the Austin Bulldogs, And so we had the black jersey and the black helmets. And I remember vividly, we had a Labor Day practice one year. One of the years, I don't remember what year I was, but oh God, that was so hot. And we were just all complaining about,
You don't
the
need
jersey.
a minister to warn you what hell is like when you play August and September football in Texas.
That's right.
And now the Bulldogs are switching to red helmets. They have the black jerseys.
I did see that, yeah.
But red helmets. All right, here is another punt. They'll try to get it out of there. Edward Arguello, and he is exactly 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I guess that means they don't have a deep snapper they can count on to snap at 15 yards.
Right. Traditionally, you'd be at 14. 14 is kind of the gold standard for a deep snap. So, yeah, the 10's a little tight.
And I think that might be offsides on Marshall, but I don't see a flag. The punt is short, and it's off the hands of the punt returner and out of bounds. So that's going to be a punt of, I don't know, about 10 yards. And number 30, it was 23 actually, Donovan Jackson trying to field the punt. He had to run a long way because every time Northside has punted it in the direction of their sideline over there. They just don't want anybody to run a punt all the way back. Jacoby Banks is going out there, and he'll still play quarterback. But I don't think it's going to be too deep into this game where we see Jacoby Banks take a seat. Jared Howard is the running back next to him. Three receivers on the right side of the formation. The ball's at the 39. First down and 10. Banks wants to pass. Setting up the screen. Now steps up in the pocket. Now throws deep. Got a man open. End zone, but overshot him. It's incomplete, intended for Jaden Johnson, and we have flags on the play.
Looks like I think they might wave that one off.
Yeah, I think maybe one of the officials said pass interference, but the back judge just did the signal over his head that says it was not catchable.
That's exactly what I saw.
And that's a good call on his part. But there is a 5-yard penalty for something else. Northside committed some kind of infraction, and it was probably offside.
Probably offsides, yep.
First down and 5 from the 34 for your Marshall Buffs. 35-0, and we're right now in the second minute of the second quarter. Be with us at halftime. Craig Way is one of our guests, and also Robert Archer of Archer Volkswagen, and you will hear that entire halftime presentation. Banks throws a quick pass off the fingertips and incomplete. Jaden Johnson was lined up on the right. One of those little hitch screens, and it was just too high. And coming in quickly on defense was Antoine Howard to try and make sure that play went nowhere. But it did go nowhere. I was asking Coach Williams in our little preview show that we did before the season started, because you have both Marshall and Willow Ridge with some really good talent but shrinking student enrollments, I asked him about the idea of combining, and he said, no, we shouldn't do that because that would create a 6A that would really struggle to win games at times. And so the alternative is you continue playing these HISD teams unless the UIL does a big realignment. Jet sweep going left inside the 20, still running all the way down to the 15. Rundrick Dudley, who really seems to have adapted well from moving from running back to wide receiver, made a couple of moves, kind of like a water bug, but Northside did make the stop at the 16, and that's a first down. Think of First Tire and Automotive for all your car care needs. Check them out at firsttireandauto.com.
Yeah, it's interesting because Marshall is in 5A and they're in the Division 2, so they're in a smaller variety of the 5A. So that's a good point. That'd be two jumps up in classification with that.
And Banks drops back on 1st and 10, throws late over the middle, got a man, got a completion down to the 5-yard line, and it's Rundrick Dudley brought down there by Antoine Howard. Now I was wondering if maybe the enrollments, if combined, maybe they'd have put them in 5A Division 1. Is that possible?
I kind of side of Coach Williams. I think if the full-fledged, that'd be well over 3,000 students, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I would like to not see a Lido at AT&T Stadium. That's our problem. We can't seem to meet anyone other than a Lido in a state championship game. First and goal from the 6. Give to Dudley on the jet sweep, and he trots in at half speed. That's how well the play was blocked, and that makes it 41-0. Kovo, any comment? He really did go at half speed. I don't think I exaggerated there.
No, he was able to walk into the end zone there. Yeah, I mean, Marshall as a 6A team would still be a playoff team. I mean, you know what I mean? It's that's when you start getting into playing schools with enrollments well over 3,000 kids. So, I mean, their depth could become a deal for them. But, yeah, they would be fine wherever they play. But definitely, like, I see what Coach Williams is saying, like, the 5A Division II level, I mean, they're elite. You know, they're a contender every year in and year out for sure. So that's a good thing.
And they've had some decent move-ins that have really helped them over the years, especially at quarterback like Malik Hornsby and also Roland Harvey last year. So maybe if you're a 6A, you might get 2 or 3 move-ins that could help you in a particular season. All right, it's 42-0 after Diaz makes the extra point. We'll be back. This is VypeFortBend.com.
Hello fans, this is Bradley Stavanaugh with Needville Insurance. We know Fort Bend County. I'm a 4th generation resident of Fort Bend. I'm your local, hometown, trusted agent. With over 30 carriers and 9 auto insurance carriers, we shop the insurance for you. We know insurance is hard. We know it's complicated. We make it easy for you. We have Spanish speakers here available for you. Call us at 979-793-7411 or needvilleinsurance.com. Once again, call us 979-793-7411.
Everything, and we mean everything. We take care of you, so you can take care of business. Office Depot Office Max. Taking care of business.
The ball gets all the way inside the 10, and Northside brings it back best that they can, and they take it to the 14-yard line. The ball ended up in the hands of Carlos Rivera, and it's 1st and 10 from there for Northside.
Yeah, I think the reason why, you mentioned some move-ins for Marshall, like just the way that Coach Williams runs his program, and an extension of that, Coach James Banks, the head track coach, like just the way that they both run the programs, it's like, to me, like collegiate level, of focus and structure and discipline. Like I got to actually go out to the field house one time and visit with Coach Banks a little bit, and they were about to leave for a track meet. And I was just so impressed, like all the athletes coming down from class, like getting ready to leave for the meet. They just were so like, I felt like I was around college athletes, not high school athletes. Just their demeanor was so professional. Yeah. Well, I think same person. The boy, James Banks. I think he goes by one, but his real name is something else.
Oh, I did not realize that. Maybe that's on his email or something.
Right, yep.
And dropping back is Barragón. Look out, here come the Marshall Buffs. They got a hand on him in the end zone, but he only gets out of the end zone by a yard, so that's a loss of, 14 all the way back to the 1. And Coach Williams says that maybe unlike any other school, Marshall has kind of married the football and track and field programs to each other.
Which is so smart, And have you ever met Alvita Williams, his wife?
Yes, I have, but only briefly.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, I see on Facebook she's constantly just so supportive of the kids, and their daughter was a member of the track team, very successful member of the track team.
Janai,
Janai, yep. They have a son coming up to the ranks, and she's a very successful businesswoman in her own right. So she's got all that going on. Plus, she's just like the #1 fan of the Buffaloes and Coach Williams. So I love seeing all the things, that she posts, and then I'll got to play here, and I'll finish that thought.
They gave Barragón credit for getting the ball out to the 2, so at 2nd down and 24, his feet are in the end zone as he's under center. Turns around and gives it off to a running back who is crushed for a safety.
Yeah.
And that poor running back didn't have a chance, but I will go ahead and tell you who tackled him. Kyle Butte, senior defensive tackle, firing into the backfield. Wait a minute. They're going to spot it. outside
Yeah,
the goal line.
They're going to give him forward progress, which I think they're maybe just trying to help out a little bit.
Yeah, they probably are. This is one of those plays, James. I think by rule you shouldn't have any part of the football in the end zone, so they should turn it around, put the nose of the ball where the tail of the ball is right now. I think that's a rule. But, when the center stands over the ball, he kind of moves it a little bit anyway. But now every offensive player for Northside has his feet in the end zone. I formation. Barragón. He dropped the snap. He tried to burrow forward and get something and get back to the line of scrimmage. And the ball got loose, and Marshall recovered it, and it's yet another easy touchdown. Ryan Simpson, sophomore linebacker, gets it. And, wow, you scored 6 points, Ryan Simpson. I'll bet you, too, have an awesome future, and Xfinity and Comcast are the future of awesome.
So the referees did him no favor there. They could have escaped with a safety and just 2 points, but now they're going to give up the 6. But.
Yeah, I guess the best laid plans or the road to somewhere is paved with good intentions
right,
or something like that. Oh, my goodness, it is 48-0, and we've got 5:30 to go in quarter number 2. Thanks for being here, Kovo. I don't know what I'd do without you today. All right. Diaz adds the extra point. It's 49-0. We'll be back.
It's that time of year where you hear people using the S word. September, that is. Occasionally, you can hear the great employees at First Tire and Automotive using another S word with customers. Savings. Fall specials include 50% off an oil change. Now's the time to make sure your auto is ready to kick off the season in tip-top shape. Head to the website firsttireandauto.com and claim your savings. First Tire and Automotive, a proud sponsor of Fort Bend Vype Sports. Make your appointment today at any of the 4 convenient locations in Sugar Land and Cinco Ranch. All 4 stores open on Saturday. firsttireandauto.com.
What is Vype Live? Vype Live is one of the largest and most respected broadcast and live stream networks in the state of Texas. Vype Live broadcasts any sport you can think of for youngsters of any age, from Pee Wee and Pop Warner to high school, club, college, semi-pro, and beyond. We also broadcast plenty of academic, fine arts, and community-related events as well, and now as partners with Flow Sports. Email us at info@vypemedia.com to find out more. Vype Live. We bring your teams to you.
Here we go with yet another kickoff coming from Andreas Phillips-Purvis. Ended up being an onside kick last time. I'm sure James Williams doesn't want him to do that again. Actually, 2 kickoffs ago. And the kickoff is taken by number 3, Ja'Cory Smart. And he doesn't get very far, gets across the 20 and hit at the 23. And that was a very impactful tackle by number 26, Ryan Simpson, who just scored the touchdown. He must be filled with adrenaline. And he went down there on special teams and made a good tackle.
Well, finishing my thought there on Alvita, she had shared a thing on Facebook from that KHOU feature that they did on the Buffaloes. And Coach Williams was talking about the stereotype that they've fought in the past and even presently, that it's just a team filled with athletes and that's why they're winning. But that couldn't be further from the truth. When you watch the Buffaloes play, they're one of the least penalized, most structured. You don't see coverage busts and guys running wide open. I mean, they're extremely well coached, and I mean to me that's just so obvious to see. So I just found that really interesting that he addressed that in the broadcast, and I couldn't agree with him more.
And I think that you and I can say we've been doing these games together involving Marshall
100%.
For several seasons, and we have bought into that from the very beginning. In fact, I don't think there was any time that we were under the impression that he was just take the bag of footballs out there and let your speed do the job. It's not like that at all. 29-yard line, 1st and 10. Dropping back is Barragón. Fakes a pass, tries to get it to the line of scrimmage. He is hit hard as he released it. Lawrence Tillman knocked him down, and going back there to help him up, one of his offensive linemen.
That kid's not on the roster. For some reason.
He's not. And we've got the updated roster. Oh, well. But I think that's a situation. Did the ball get actually to the down box, the line of scrimmage, not quite. It was short by a foot or two, but they said that's good enough. We're not going to call intentional grounding.
Yeah.
There's no need to do – wait a minute. They did. They
Serious?
did. Are you kidding me? You know, sometimes you got to show discretion. Yeah, I think that was intentional grounding. I don't think it could be anything else. And is it loss of down?
It should be.
Now the referee is saying to one of the officiating crew, I think he got – there you go. Now they finally got it right. The referee had to intervene and say, look, I saw the ball get to the sideline right at the stick.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, it's not a penalty after all.
Yeah, I wish they would let that one go. It's just slowing down the pace of the game, and a game that's already out of hand here in the heat. So, because they did stop the clock for that, but now the clock's resumed.
Wow, and by the way, Kovo, you're, like I said off mic before the game started, you're the best volume guy. I never have to tell you to talk louder until now. We're so subdued by the nature of this game that we got to make sure we're not down in the mud. All right, Barrigon hands it off on a draw play, a little counter to Harris. He goes straight up the middle and gets one and then gets shoved back.
I actually, to me, that those are the best kind of plays for them. Just quick hitters, ISO play, fullback belly, like just get a little bit of positive yardage. I know they want to probably work on some of the passing game, but it's getting so extreme, just taking the yardage losses. So we'll see what they do here on 3rd and 9. It's a tough situation for sure.
Maybe once in a while they could fake that and just let the quarterback keep it around the end and see if he could get something. Maybe. 3rd down and a long 9 for Northside. They trail 49-0. Going to be 3 minutes left in the first half in just a moment or two. Barrigon drops back. They give him time. He throws, but it's way short of his receiver. The intended target there was Nicholas Moctezuma, but there were 2 Buffaloes defensive backs right there that could have grabbed it for a pick 6. So
yeah, that was really weird. Moctezuma was stock blocking out there. I think he thought there was like a screen coming in behind him. He's blocking. So I don't know, just all out of sorts in the passing game for Northside. I mean, obviously the talent of the defense is making things exemplified for them in terms of their difficulty. But I don't know. I think right here he's got to focus on getting a good punt away. The punts we've seen they've kind of been shanked out of bounds so far this afternoon. So hopefully, if you're a Panthers fan, you just get a good, solid punt and allow your defense a little more breathing room to work with.
All right, and this time he started off 9 yards from the line of scrimmage. Now he backed up a step, and now we've got a whistle. By the way, the clock will, I hope, continue to run through this whistle, but no, they stopped it with 2:11 to go.
Well, they called a timeout.
Call a timeout.
There's no point in calling timeouts if they're going to run through those.
Well, you're right. Okay, let me take a quick break. Yep. This is VypeFortBend.com.
It's that time of year where you hear people using the S word. September, that is. Occasionally, you can hear the great employees at First Tire and Automotive using another S word with customers. Savings. Fall specials include 50% off an oil change. Now's the time to make sure your auto is ready to kick off the season in tip-top shape. Head to the website firsttireandauto.com and claim your savings. First Tire and Automotive, a proud sponsor of Fort Bend Vype Sports. Make your appointment today at any of the 4 convenient locations in Sugar Land and Cinco Ranch. All 4 stores open on Saturday. firsttireandauto.com.
Interested in Vype Campus? Vype Campus brings our popular citywide media days right to your doorstep. As a Vype Campus client, we will work with you to help you take advantage of our unique campus model to build a unique experience for your school. From media day photo shoots of all your athletes to game day coverage, broadcasts and live streams, video and digital content, hype videos, the Vype U program, same-day graphics, and of course your very own campus magazine, Vype Campus is truly whatever you want it to be. Email info@vypemedia.com to find out how to join Vype Campus today.
Northside punts the ball out of bounds to eliminate the possibility of a long Marshall return, and with 1:59 to go before halftime, James Kovalevsky and I call him Kovo, It's a little hot. It's. I think it's affecting my brain.
You're dehydrated.
And my
get
speech.
another water?
Yeah, I opened one. I need to drink more of it. But
yeah. I agree with you, man. Like I feel like Northside is purposely trying to kick it out of bounds to avoid the dynamic returners, but I don't know. To me, it's almost pointless in punting if you're only going to get 8-9 yards out of it. I would try to kick it, but maybe and maybe more on a line drive and see if you can get a good roll in your favor with still no return.
And there's a give on the jet sweep coming to this side and inside the numbers and the hash marks, and it's a first down gain, 13 yards picked up by Kavan Misher, who caught the first 2 touchdown passes. And what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the battle between the right tackle, Anthony Chapman, and Kendall Carter, the left defensive end. Chapman, they ran an outside sweep play there. Chapman took Carter for a ride, basically, and drove him way down the field. But at the end of the play, Carter kind of ducked out of it, and Chapman ended up falling down. And Carter kind of like flexed over him. And so Chapman stood up, and he kind of pointed like, hey, bro, I just took you from here to there. Like, what are you flexing about?
All right, there's a jet sweep going the other way, and it's Jaden Johnson. Plenty of room outside the numbers, and he will cruise into the end zone. And it is a touchdown run of 32 yards, and Marshall has broken 50 in the first half. And as he crosses the goal line, the clock continues to tick down, and we're going to go ahead and tell you that Diaz made the extra point, even though he hasn't kicked it yet, and we're going to bring you those halftime interviews that we've been promising you. This is VypeFortBend.com. Kovo's going to go take a break, and he deserves one.
Every day, someone comes up to me and says, Amy, how amazing is Xfinity Internet? And I always say, guys, I could go on and on about how it gives you more than just fast speeds for all your work, school, and everything from home needs, but I have places to be. I'd also mention you can save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile and get nationwide 5G at no extra cost. But I gotta run. I have a thing. Really, it happens all the time. Can your internet do that?
Get started with Xfinity Internet for $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year agreement and get a special offer of $100 back when you sign up online. Plus, save up to $400 a year on wireless when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today to learn more. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Ends 9/21/21. Restrictions apply. New Performance Starter Plus Internet customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. After term, regular rates apply. Compares pricing of top carriers. Xfinity Internet required.
Fort Bend County High School. Welcome to halftime on VypeFortBend.com, your broadcast home for Fort Bend County High School sports. And what a privilege here to talk to Robert Archer. He is the guy who's in charge at Archer Volkswagen. We thank them so much for being a sponsor this year. Robert, how have things been going for you and your family? And, of course, Archer Volkswagen opened since 1956.
You know, Roger, I'm blessed. You know, so far there's been an inventory shortage this past year. You know, but with it, we're very lucky to you know, to have inventory and be able to meet the needs of everybody in our community. You know, it's a fluid situation, so you know, at some points have been better than others, but I mean, we've just been blessed. We really have just been great.
Well, times are kind of tough because I suppose it's a supply chain thing where you need those microchips. No new car can be built without that kind of capacity. So I guess for the people out there who have a car and might be wanting a different one, there's never been a time to trade, right?
I mean, as long as you have a trade-in, it's never been worth more, and there's never been a better time to buy a car. I mean, the amount of people that are taking advantage of their equity, whether it's, you know, with the lease or with, you know, a vehicle they have, or with a beater that's been sitting in their driveway for, you know, 15 years, it's been incredible. You know, taking advantage of where the market's at. Yeah, it's been great.
And I think I got in a little hurry on my last sentence. I kind of left out the important word, which was better. I said it's never been a time to trade. It's never been a better time to trade. So, if you are in the mood to look into an upgrade for your car, they'd be happy to see you at Archer Volkswagen. And, at the risk of sounding like the geezer guy, I'm going to talk about some things that people know Volkswagen for. First of all, their signature car, the Beetle, just the little thing, kind of like if you've seen a Herbie and the Love Bug movies. It was so beautifully engineered, German engineering, that if you close all the doors and windows, it would float.
Oh yeah, and I can't tell you how many people, whether they're buying a car for, one of their kids, have told me, I used to have a 1973 or 64 Beetle, and I loved it. Didn't have AC or window or roll-up windows or a radio or anything, but man, it represented freedom and just being able to travel anywhere. The people's car. That's what Volkswagen stands for.
Well, and before we started talking to you here, I told you off mic that my sister owned a brand new Beetle, and she was very happy with it, very proud. And of course, there were the Love Bug movies. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the ones that had Dean Jones and Michelle Lee, and not the one with
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, I remember what she looked like in that Love Bug movie. Yeah. And was that wasn't the one that had what's his name? I'm thinking about the Transformers guy. I'm mixing up movies. The modern Love Bug and the Transformers. Shia LaBeouf, that guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess you are a young man. Maybe Shia LaBeouf is younger than you. I'm not really sure. But talk to us about the different kind of ways that Volkswagen has kind of evolved. Number one, they used to make all their cars in Germany, but now I think there are only 2 models that are still made there. The most are built and assembled in either the United States or Mexico, but it has a wide variety of things that people would want in a vehicle.
Yeah, it used to be that all our cars were made in Germany, but Volkswagen wants to, very deeply have a massive presence here in the U.S. So we have both the Atlas Crossport, the Passat, and Volkswagen's all-electric car, the ID4. That one's actually in the process of being built here in the U.S., but they really want to have a big presence here in employing Americans. But great lineup right now, absolutely fantastic.
Well, I've always been intrigued by car names. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, it seemed like nearly every car had an animal name to it. But there have been so many new car companies that have developed over the decades, and they are offering more different kinds of models that Volkswagen has been about as creative as any other company that I've known. And I didn't know until you told me a few minutes ago that Tiguan is not really a word or a name, but it's the combination of 2 words, right?
It's a combination of tiger and iguana. Volkswagen's always been famous for, creating a name that kind of stands out, especially in a world where, a lot of model names sound like printers, VQX 9000 and whatnot. You know, it's kind of nice to have something refreshing, like T1 or Atlas or Taos. Yeah.
And speaking of Taos, you said that the Taos and the ID4, Volkswagen's first electric car, are for people who want the newest, latest thing. That's really what people are coming to Volkswagen for, right?
Well, there are 2 newest models. The Taos is really a special place for us. It's our smallest SUV, and in a lot of ways sits adjacent to the Jetta, and as a good replacement. As people have started to move out of sedans and into SUVs, it offers a great transition point, or a great entry point for somebody who hasn't had a car yet. The ID4, Volkswagen's first real step into electric, with an SUV of 250 miles of range. Volkswagen really wants to be, the company that's at the forefront of electric, and it's their first step into it, and the changes that are coming the next few years are going to be impressive. Very excited.
And by the way, I didn't realize that this had happened. You told me in 2019, that's when the last of the Beetles was rolling off the assembly line. So they're not making any new Beetles, but they did in the early 2000s introduce a new model that really was popular for several years.
Yeah, the Beetle, the new Beetle, which came out in the early 2000s, was one of Volkswagen's turning points here in the U.S. For a while, they lost a lot of popularity after the Beetle and the Bus went out of production in the 70s and 80s. But when those came back, it was huge for us here in the U.S. and really helped us gain a good foothold. The Beetle's gone, unfortunately, but the electric bus is coming here in the next couple of years. So it's nice to see something of the old guard still present in the lineup.
Yeah, in fact, I can't believe I forgot to ask you about that. I'm looking right now at a picture you brought me of one of those old vans. It's got the flower power decoration to it. There were some legendary stories that could be told about a long journey taken in a Volkswagen microbus.
Yep, and now we're looking forward to some electric stories coming from a Volkswagen microbus. So, yeah, it's a very exciting future for us here at Volkswagen.
All right, well, I know you're probably asking yourself, what is it that Robert Archer and Lance Armstrong have in common? We're going to talk about that when we return on the halftime show. You're listening to VypeFortBend.com, your broadcast home for Fort Bend County sports. Don't go away. Welcome back to Fort Bend County High School football, and our halftime score is
Marshall 56, Northside nothing.
And we continue our visit with Robert Archer and Archer Volkswagen. We thank you so much, first of all, Robert, for being a sponsor, making this possible, because we're going to make it pay off for you, because we're going to do well over 100 broadcasted events throughout the school year. And, when son or daughter is thinking they want a car, hopefully things will get where there's a much greater inventory and they can come on by. But let's talk about what high school sports mean to you. Not every high school sport is UIL sanctioned. Sometimes people get into a sport that maybe is kind of a club or a different organization, like USA Cycling. You were a cyclist when you were in high school. So tell us about your great adventures, how you came so close to your greatest triumph.
Lance Armstrong was my hero as a kid, and that meant a lot for me. And I really wanted to follow in his tainted footsteps, unfortunately.
His tainted footsteps. I've never heard that phrase, but that's a good one.
Yeah, it's hard to see your childhood hero fall. But it got me into a great sport where I really got to push myself. We were lucky enough one year to have the regional championship in Houston. And in that race, I was there with the group. There was a kid from Arkansas he was off the front by himself. As the race was coming to a close, we were all trying to get, alone to go ahead and get in front of him. And I had finally done it after trying for several times. I'd broken away from the rest of the field. I was by myself.
You were running him down, baby.
I was running him down. I was coming right up on him. And in the third to last corner, I was almost there. And I crashed, wiped out, and finished dead last, unfortunately. But I thought I had it. State championship and regional championship right there. Yep.
They could have taken video or film of that and said, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And you could have been like the guy on the ski jump on the old Wide World of Sports program. Mm-hmm. But Lance Armstrong, such a great source of pride as a Texan. And, if any of our listeners out there have not watched the 30 for 30 program about him, it's just fascinating to hear him and all the other people who were involved, the things they say about him. But there are a lot of things that might surprise you about what it's like being in cycling. I forgot to ask this question. Was it the Alkek Velodrome? There's that place. Is that where the race took place?
No, it wasn't. So that's actually, there's a couple different types of cycling. I'm impressed that you know what the Alkek Velodrome is, because unfortunately enough people don't. It's very exciting. So those races there last anywhere from about 30 seconds to 15 minutes. So they're very short. But it's fun because you can do like the last little bit of a race 3 to 4 times a night. But I got to do a lot of racing there, and actually the bikes in those races don't even have brakes, so it's a whole different type of racing. But it's a blast. Yeah.
The thing about the Alkek Velodrome that made me remember it is they had an Olympic festival in Houston, I think in the 80s, and I think they were going to remodel the Alkek Velodrome because Houston actually made an Olympic bid. You know, they wanted to tell the United States Olympic Committee, we're the city that can host it. We've got all these existing venues that are close enough to each other but not too close to each other. We've got a plan. But, you know, we don't have a Golden Gate Bridge or some kind of landmark like that. And George DeMontron actually put together an awesome presentation. And after they turned Houston down, he said, what could we have done different and made it better? They said, oh, nothing.
Oh,
so that's kind of a hard answer to accept. But let's, you know, we cover UIL sports, the public schools. But I so admired your beloved alma mater, Straight Jesuit, for playing in the UIL and competing for a state championship that way, and they do very well in so many sports. Dallas Jesuit also does the same thing, but I believe they're the only ones. So what are some of the things that you love about Straight Jesuit, and it was exciting for you to watch Straight Jesuit players and teams?
It's been great, you know, to watch us, such a small school, go up against these larger schools. You know, it used to be that the peak of our competition was against, you know, St. Thomas, the one other private school game we would have every year. Because while I was there, at least we would just get demolished by, you know, the likes of Katie and the rest of them. But luckily, it looks like the program's made a massive foothold, and we've been making the playoffs for a while, and it's been fun to watch everyone and watch the program really get a nice foothold here in Texas.
And I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, but Ridgepoint and Straight Jesuit both had kind of an open week in their schedule. And the playoffs were coming, and Straight Jesuit and Ridgepoint were both going to the playoffs, so it was nice to see them play each other, and I got a chance to tell Gary Kubiak's son, their head coach, that I just really appreciate the fact that they get up there to the trough with the big boys in Texas. And Straight Jesuit holds its own very well, but maybe there's not all that Catholic altar boy genteel behavior when it comes to Straight versus St. Thomas. Any story that you can tell us about how bitter that rivalry is? Praise the Lord.
The rivalry was certainly bitter, but cordial. I had a lot of friends that went to St. Thomas, so as hard as it was, you know, we tried to keep things polite and nice. You know, for many years it was actually a tradition that one of our students would dress up in a green morph suit and run out onto the field. And I did not do it my senior year, but it was actually one of my buddies that ran onto the field, unfortunately while the band was playing, and got into some serious trouble for that and actually made the news. It was just best man in his wedding, actually. But, yeah.
And if you ask him right now, would you do it again if you had it to do over? What would he say?
Oh, in a heartbeat. I still think that's one of the best moments of his life. Not that I'm encouraging that. But yeah, the Green Man, as it was called, was a Straight Jesuit tradition every year that I was there.
All right. So, and finally, I want to ask you, Robert Archer, once again, thanks so much for sponsoring us this year. What excites you when you kind of watch local teams? I know that there are a lot of great recruits that get a chance to come out of not only Straight Jesuit, but throughout the city, throughout Greater Houston, both the private schools and the public ones.
Yeah, I went to OU shortly after at Oklahoma and had a blast there. And one of the coolest things about being from the Houston area is you get to see a lot of recruits go to the schools that you played with or you were close to. Someone like C.D. Lamb coming out of Foster. It's just awesome to see, fantastic, and then to watch them grow. Being from the same place that you're from, and then to become C.D. Lamb that you see on TV, and Hard Knocks, and for the Cowboys, it's fantastic.
And also, when he was in college, it's tough for any team based in Texas to say, how did we let him get away? He went to Oklahoma, and now he's kicking our butts all the time. And now he's having a great pro career with the Cowboys. Robert, thanks so much for being with us, and We appreciate your support of making it possible for people to listen to these games all year long.
Roger, it was a pleasure, and I'm glad to do it. I'm happy to help support the Fort Bend area whatever way I can. So thank you.
All right, we'll be back. The third quarter's coming soon. This is VypeFortBend.com.
We take care of you so you can take care of business. Office Depot Office Max. Taking care of business.
Welcome back. It's halftime on VypeFortBend.com, and we always like to make sure that you stay with us during halftime, and we think you will this time for sure, because with us is Craig Way, who is so many things to so many people who love sports, especially University of Texas sports. But because we look at everything through the high school prism, I'm going to introduce you as the host of Football Friday Night. How about that?
Well, I appreciate that, Roger. Thanks very much. And I enjoy, obviously, calling all the state championship games and the Texas Football Days game for Bally Sports Southwest, the former Fox Sports Southwest, and doing High School Scoreboard Live. It's been a labor of love, and I've done it for over 20 years, and I've been broadcasting high school football. This is my 40th season doing it, so I'm excited about it.
And by the way, I know the name of the program. I just blanked because I'm talking to Craig Way. I had to take a deep breath before we started this interview. So let's talk about what the show has become. It has evolved into something where it has to win the award for that kind of show every year because there is no show like it. First of all, congratulations to you and everybody who's a part of it. It's an amazing program. But what are some things that maybe ordinary viewers wouldn't know about High School Scoreboard Live?
Well, you are correct, Roger, in that it has evolved. It's an outgrowth of a program that really started back in the 90s, just called High School Extra. And that show was actually an outgrowth of a radio show I used to do in Dallas when I worked at KRLD, and I did a high school scoreboard show on Friday nights from 11 to midnight, and we covered an area of about 150 miles because we had a radius, because we had a large signal, 50,000 watt signal, so a lot of folks were listening, so it was important. It was every bit as important for the folks in Pilot Point and Electra and Millsap to hear their scores as it was for Highland Park or Plano to hear their score. So we took it all under wing, and we did it that way. And then a producer named Jeff Watts started High School Extra, and we did High School Extra, and that was a show where we traveled all across the state of Texas and had our van and did features and stories on high school student athletes and teams and coaches and things like that. And then in 1996, we started a scoreboard show called High School Extra Live, where it was really just what folks see today. It was in its infancy. We'd get footage from places across the state of Texas, and we would do final scores and recaps and things like that. Over time, it has really evolved, and especially with new and advanced and modern ways of transmitting video, to where we could get almost instantaneous highlights on the show. And the show has expanded. It's a 2-hour show now. It goes from 11 at night until 1 in the morning. And you'd be surprised that or maybe you wouldn't be, knowing how much folks love high school football in this state. If something is amiss or something is missing, we hear from them at 12:43 a.m. or something. Hey, what about the score from so and so? So we know there's a lot of folks watching. We have been fortunate. We have won multiple awards, Lone Star Emmy Awards and things like that. But the main thing is we know it's serving a purpose for high school football fans across the state of Texas, and we love what we do.
If you stepped away, I'm sure that as you came back, you recognized the voice. It's Craig Way, host of High School Scoreboard Live. And let's talk about how all those logistical challenges that you have, because Texas is so big, those needs were somewhat met by all these great new methods for transmitting video and doing Zooms and interviews with the coaches while he's on the bus on the way back. I love that stuff. But one thing that you you do have to move something from point A to point B, and that is your reporters and their photographers. You go an incredible number of miles, and talk about how that is assigned and how you get that done.
Well, I think that the importance was recognized early to have reporters at key games, no matter the classification, across the state of Texas. So whereas we could have somebody at a North Shore Katy game on Friday night because that's a big game, by the same token, we're going to have somebody at Richland Springs and Borden County for a 6-man game because that's important, and you might have 2 unbeaten teams and all points in between. So we like to think that we do get it covered in all classifications from 6A down to 6-man. So as a staff, we look at it and say, what are some of the big games? And then those are identified, and which reporters get assigned to which ones. The ones that are more comfortable with, say, they know a lot about East Texas, and they might be over in there. Somebody handles the greater Austin area, or somebody out in West Texas that we're used to. So, but the reporters that we have are outstanding, and they go all over the state.
And you work them hard because they will do a Thursday night game, and they'll do the Look Live report from that Thursday night game, and then they'll come back and do another one on Friday. And I was thinking, how does Katie Ingleson get from there to there? Well, it was a Thursday, Friday thing.
Yeah, and then during the postseason, Katie may hop back in the car and go, say, from Austin down to San Antonio, which is a short enough drive to go for a Saturday game. So we keep the reporters busy. They do a fabulous job. They do their homework. They visit with the coaches during the week. They'll have Zooms and visit with them. So they're up to speed. They're not just showing up and saying, hey, Team A beat Team B. They've done their homework. They're prepared, and they understand what's going into each game.
And Katie is every bit as nice as she is pretty. I can say that for sure. We'll come back real quickly and ask Craig one more question, and that is what it's like to be him during the football season, because it's not easy. We'll be back on VypeFortBend.com.
Archer Volkswagen showroom is open, and our team's excited to help you. Visit our sales department Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or bring your car in for service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're closed on Sundays to rest and recharge with our families, so we can serve you well through the week. We hope to see you soon.
We're back at halftime on VypeFortBend.com with Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns and the host of High School Scoreboard Live. And Craig, you can't be at every single program because there are times when the Longhorns are playing too far away, maybe a Saturday daytime game. But what is it like? What are some of the big adventures you've had trying to get from one place to another?
Well, adventures is one way to describe it. I try, first of all, to minimize the risk. I've never missed a kickoff for a Texas game. The only game I've even missed in this is now 30 seasons in the broadcast booth for the Longhorns and 20 seasons of doing play-by-play on football. So I've only missed one game, and that was the day that I lost my wife when she passed away in 2016. But every other game I've made, and on Friday nights I'll do the Scoreboard Live show. I think last year we ended up doing 21 because of the state championship games that got pushed to January. So out of the 21 shows we did, I did 19 of them, and I only missed 2. And that was for a road trip like up to Kansas State, and then there was another one as well. So other than that, if it's anywhere in the state of Texas, I'm pretty comfortable about doing the show Friday night and then traveling on Saturday. You get out of the state, and especially if you have to make multiple plane changes, I don't want to run that risk. So occasionally I do have to miss.
All right. One more observation before we let you go. It's an honor to talk to you. You mentioned the passing of your wife. That was one of those times when we're here at the Texas High School Coaches Association. That's how I get a chance to talk to folks like you. And there's just a feeling of fraternity and sorority and family around here. And I know that even though there are great rivals who love nothing more than to beat Texas, I know they reached out in a very sentimental and loving way to help you and your family grieve.
Everybody's been great, and they were tremendous, and they were equally, like I said, I lost my wife 5 years ago, and then 2 years ago, you talk about being blessed. Ran into an old friend I'd known for a long, long time, and she and I struck up a friendship and began dating there afterwards. And one of my late wife's last request to me was, she said, do me a favor, don't die a lonely old man. And she her words are living on. And Linda and I have been together for the past couple of years now, and we're engaged. And everybody who was as kind to me when Laurie passed away has been equally as excited about what the future will hold for Linda and myself. So we're excited about that, and it's great. I'll tell you what, Roger, like we said, it's great to have football back. It's great to have fans back in the stands full on. It's great to have our seasons back and everybody being able to act again. That's the exciting thing.
No question about it. And that last thing that you said just really, it touched me even more so than all those things that I heard on the radio and saw on television about people reaching out to you and just making sure that you felt comforted by the entire state of Texas. Craig Way, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Roger. Glad to be with you.
All right, we will have the third quarter for you shortly on VypeFortBend.com. Don't go away.
We mean everything. We take care of you, so you can take care of business. Office Depot Office Max. Taking care of business.
Hi, this is Mariela
and Melina coming to you from Nick's Italian Restaurant, where you can come and try one of our house specialties, the Nick's Shrimp, or one of our chicken pistachios. Not in the mood for food, you can also try one of our savory desserts like our homemade tiramisu or cannoli.
We're located on FM 1464, just north of Austin High School.
Can't dine in? You can call ahead at 346-401-1546 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Or you can hit us on one of the major delivery platforms, Uber, Grubhub, or DoorDash.
We look forward to seeing you here at Nick's Italian Restaurant, where our family gets bigger every time you stop by.
As we get ready to begin the second half, we've got a Nick's Italian Restaurant family connection that we discovered during halftime. Roger Smith and James Kovaleski with you. It is 56-0. Marshall dominating Northside, and the Buffs will defend the north goal in the third quarter. And kicking off is Miguel Diaz. Gets the ball in the air, and it lands near the 20-yard line and gets past one of the kick returners, touched him, and went out of bounds. So no penalty. It's just going to be spotted right there at the 8-yard line where it went out. One of the officials kind of puts his hands together, shows that, he did touch it.
Yeah, I got a big development. They set the clock to 8 minutes.
Oh, how about that?
Rather than 12, and they started running it right away. So this game, I think they're just going to let it run. I think we're going to see about 16 live minutes of action here. The second half.
Let me tell everybody about the Nick's Italian Restaurant family connection. You have Donovan Jackson, number 23. He's a defensive back and a junior for Marshall. But I just discovered that his uncle is Quentin McCollum, whose children went to Kempner High School for a while. He has since moved, and his son, who is remaining in high school, that's Micah. He's at Bush right now, plays baseball. But you have Noah and Jeremiah McCollum, excellent high school athletes, and moved into the college ranks.
And actually, I believe he said they moved to Fulshear.
Okay.
Fulshear is where
they moved to Fulshear, except he did tell me that Micah's going to Bush.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that.
What? Okay. Yeah. Misunderstood. The band was loud. That's my best. That's the best I can come up with. Okay. So, yes, Fulshear. Thank you very much. And we might actually cover Fulshear baseball in the spring. Okay. But so Noah and Jeremiah are great former high school athletes, and Jeremiah is an All-American pitcher at Florida A&M. And, okay, I guess, meanwhile, I need to tell you what's going on the field. Second down, I guess that was a pass batted down incomplete on the first play while I was trying to get my facts straight.
Oh, no problem.
And so it's second down and 10. Now,
this game is hard. I think some of the fans probably would rather hear some of the other stories.
Okay, well, let's see.
I think you're perfectly fine. Yeah.
So Barragon under center with the eye, backs in an eye behind him, and it's the give to Jaden Harris, and he's dropped for a loss of 3, back to the 10.
I really enjoyed talking to Quentin McCollum, actually. I mean, it was really cool. He's got Fort Bend connections as well. He's a Willow Ridge graduate. I was actually sitting next to a gentleman who he told me he's 76 years old. Like, he looked like he's in his 50s. And great, I was totally blown away. His son is Shannon Rideout, the assistant athletic director here.
Yeah.
So Shannon went to Willow Ridge. So I should have asked. Maybe after the game, I'll ask Hugh about it if him and Shannon cross paths. Maybe during the next commercial break, I'll go ask him. But yeah, lots of Willow Ridge connections here. It's for you and I both have Fort Bend connections. So it's pretty cool just to see all those come together.
So Uncle Quentin is here to watch Donovan Jackson, his nephew, play for Willow Ridge in a game they lead 56-0. Running clock, Barrigon into his end zone. He is tackled for a safety. They can't say that this is not a safety, Kovo. He was thrown down, and he's staying down for a moment. One of his teammates helping him up along with the referee, and that's kind of tough to watch, especially if you're Barrigon's dad or mom. But he is okay, and it's just a tough day. 58-0 is now the score after that sack in the end zone for a safety. And I didn't even get I've lost my concentration. I didn't even get the number of the Marshall.
I thought it was 48.
Okay, 48?
I believe so.
That would be Godfrey Johnson.
Yeah, they're celebrating with Godfrey on the sideline.
Okay,
there, so, yep.
Thank you, Kovo, for picking up where I dropped the ball.
No, it does. Sometimes these games do get tough. We're kind of discussing at halftime. How do you handle, as an administrator and a coach, how do you handle these kind of situations? Because like I said, when I was at Aldine, I was in my fair share of blowouts. But this and broadcasting 4 years, I've seen several, or 5 years, however long I've been doing this. This may be the biggest mismatch I've personally seen. It just how do you handle it? Is either team really getting anything out of this? Is anybody getting better? I think it's great for the band. The bands have been great tonight on both sides. So they're getting their work because they're preparing for their show season later on in the year. But the football, it's been tough to watch. Now I will say this: I have so much respect for Northside. Just that these kids, they knew it was gonna be a difficult game, but they're here. I'm seeing for the most part, great body language, great hustle. I mean, they're trying, they're not backing down. So there's a lot of life lessons, I think, to be gained from that.
Yeah, and there's character. There are surely students at Northside who are in the program and they foresaw afternoons like this and said, I'm going to quit. These guys are out here.
That's a great point, Roger. Like, doing my research for the game this morning, I pull up our Vype season preview magazine. You can find it online as well. And the 2 star players listed for Northside that I found in that magazine, neither of them on the roster today.
There you go.
So that you said it. I think that's a great point. I think that's why I respect Ronald Holmes even more, that he stuck it out 4 years, and really excited to watch him play at Prairie View in the future.
Arguello punts it, no rush, and his punt would have gone out of bounds, but it was caught by Mike Patterson of Marshall. So Marshall will again have a short field. Let's see, what else was I going to tell you? Okay, the thing that happened in El Paso last weekend. Yeah. There's this historic stadium called Jones Stadium. It's El Paso High, the original high school in El Paso. It's not really beautifully structured for fan perspective and things like that. It's a very old stadium, but it's got these stone columns at the top of a set of stairs that lead into the school. It's just magnificent. Plus, on one side of the stadium, there are no stands. There's a chain link fence, but right after that chain link fence, there's a steep drop-off. And when you watch games early in the season while it's still hot, the shimmering lights of Juarez, Mexico coming up, it's just a beautiful place to watch a game. More in just a moment. New quarterback for Marshall. And a sweep to the right, flag down on the play, breaking away. It is Jordan Davis. He's going to go in for a touchdown, another one-play touchdown drive if the play stands. We'll see what the flag is all about. Jordan Davis, congratulations. You got a touchdown from 42 yards out, and I believe it's offsides.
Yep.
Penalty declined, and the touchdown counts, and now they're into the 60s. It is 64-0.
Yeah, I just saw the Wilson. I think it was the Wilson brothers. Two of the coaches, for Marshall, make their way down from the sideline.
They don't need to stay up
there.
there.
It's only the third quarter, but yeah, I think at this point you're probably going to see James Williams remove his – and the kick is good. Sorry to talk over that. But
no problem.
You know, you're probably going to see all the coaches remove the headsets. And now as I look down there, none of the coaches are wearing headsets any longer. So they're just going to call it old school, like at a sub-varsity football game like you do on a Thursday night. Just call it from the hip without – in a varsity situation, of course, you're communicating via headset to guys up in the press box. No need for that. Coach is going to come back down. They're just going to run an old school kind of style football game here.
And that's the end of the third quarter because they had the 8-minute clock and they just kept it running even after the touchdown had been scored. So it's 65-0. We'll take one quick break and Marshall will kick off to begin the fourth quarter. They'll flip. Marshall now going to be defending the goal at the south end. Roger Smith and James Kovaleski. It's all Marshall. 65-0. We'll be back.
Green 11 back knee for Northside. Recording smart.
Hello fans, this is Bradley Stavenall with Needville Insurance. We know Fort Bend County. I'm a fourth generation resident of Fort Bend. I'm your local, hometown, trusted agent. With over 30 carriers and 9 auto insurance carriers, we shop the insurance for you. We know insurance is hard. We know it's complicated. We make it easy for you. We have Spanish speakers here available for you. Call us at 979-793-7411 or needvilleinsurance.com. Once again, call us 979-793-7411.
Archer Volkswagen showroom is open, and our team's excited to help you. Visit our sales department Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or bring your car in for service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're closed on Sundays to rest and recharge with our families, so we can serve you well through the week. We hope to see you soon.
Squib kick following the Marshall touchdown that made it 65-0, and picking it up for Northside was Ja'Cory Smart, and it'll be Northside ball at the 28. No, I'm sorry, the 18. That's worse. Roger Smith, James Kovaleski, and Uncle Quentin McCollum with you from Hall Stadium, and Uncle Q with a non-speaking role, except he is the uncle of Donovan Jackson, number 23, junior defensive back for the Marshall Buffs, and that is our Nick's Italian Restaurant family connection. Their family gets bigger every time you stop by. It's on FM 1464 in Sugar Land, just north of Austin High School. And after last night's big defeat against Ridgepoint, the Austin folks needed to get some comfort food at Nick's Italian Restaurant. That game was not as one-sided as this one, but the outcome was pretty clear early on. Jaden, let's see, 64-0.
See that's a great point you make, Roger. Like when I was at Aldine, it was more of that kind of blowout where it's still a football. There's still tackles being made, and this one has just been complete one side.
Yeah, 50+ in the first half, and first 2 offensive plays were long touchdowns for Marshall, and so I just hope that somehow James Williams and his staff can kind of come up with some ways to let how iron sharpens iron, meaning when you have tough opponents, it makes you better. They're not going to have very competitive opponents with them during the district schedule. They've got to figure out a way to get better. Loose ball, 2 players dive on it, one from Northside, one from Marshall, and Marshall does not get that turnover. Carlos Rivera saves the possession. Number 11 jumps on it for Northside, and the clock continues to tick down. It will continue to tick down very quickly because they're not stopping it, even for incomplete passes and out-of-bounds plays. James, you've worked both in school teaching and in the private sector.
Uh-huh.
You know what it's like to be on a campus. You know that there are a lot of people who serve in public education who may not necessarily be a classroom teacher. And I want to give a couple of shout-outs here to friends of mine in the Alief ISD who have worked for not a lot of money because they love kids, but they have decided to take a job in the private sector, and I want to wish them well. After this play, Barragon under center. Actually, that's the guy who recovered the fumble. That's number 11. Carlos Rivera, and he rolled to his left, and he was tackled for a loss. So Sandra Sanchez, who has been the attendance clerk at Mata Intermediate for the last several years, and also my friend Curtis Thompson, who has worked in special education at Mata Intermediate. They both have said goodbye, and I wish them the very, very best. I know that a lot of people in public education just don't get paid enough for what they do, and that is certainly said for Sandra Sanchez and Curtis Thompson. All the best to both of you. Going to miss you very much. Stay in touch. You have my number. Anytime you want a shout out on VypeFortBend.com, I'll give you one. Another punt from Northside. Almost out of the end zone. Just kicking from the 1 yard line and over to the sideline. It goes out of bounds at the 35. That one was not too bad of a kick there, Kovo.
That's a little better.
But number 88, Troy Dixon of Marshall, was trying to, what would you say, poach that one and grab it before it went out and maybe run up the sideline. But could not get to it. It was uncatchable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. And, you know, there's just so many factors that are making it more difficult for educators right now. Just everything. COVID and, you know, just return to in-person learning. I really respect so much. That's why I do this. Like, that's why I still am out 3 nights a weekend broadcasting, because I totally believe in education. The only reason I left wasn't really money or anything like that. I'm definitely not making tons of money leaving education. It was just to allow myself to try something different, and then allow me to honestly to do more of this. Because as a coach, I had to focus on my team, and now I can be with you and other broadcasters and just try to. Oh, sorry.
Jordan Davis running left into the secondary, breaking tackle, still going, and he's going to go all the way in for a touchdown. It's another one-play touchdown drive. It goes 35 yards for the Marshall Buffs. Please continue.
But no, I mean, like I said, it allowed me to just kind of have a compartmentalize my life, where I have my day job, but then I can kind of do a passion of mine in the evenings, and I can try to highlight the people that I hold in the highest esteem, which is educators, coaches, student athletes, the bands. You know what I mean? So like I don't know, I enjoy it. So that's what I found in my life that brought me a lot of peace and happiness. So I'm honored that you had me on as your color commentator from time to time, and I wish we could do more of it. I wish our schedules could work out a little, we're more together more. But I've had a good time in a game that this hasn't been our marquee game that we've called together, but still been a good one.
Aldine called, and you couldn't say no, and I don't blame you.
It's home, So.
And let's see. So when we're doing these broadcasts, whether it's you and Aldine or up down here in Fort Bend, you say these things, I say these things. Patrick Kinnick, Bryant Nabufi, and it's kind of like that 1990s song by Fat Boy Slim, Praise You. We got to praise them like we should.
Yes.
We're talking about the adults who facilitate not only the education, but these very important extracurricular activities that teach so many great lessons, discipline, teamwork, and coping with adversity. And God bless all these adults.
And Roger, I agree with you, but as far as teachers leaving the profession, but I sometimes I don't want to bring light to it, in the sense that I don't want people to feel like teaching is like a lower level job. You know what I mean? I don't want to frame it that way, because like I don't feel that way. I do think teachers should be compensated more for sure, but at the same time, like, I think it's such a great job. Like I said, I only left it just to challenge myself, trying something different after I'd become a head coach, athletic director. That was my dream. And I am, like, my younger brother is 10 years younger than me. I don't push him to try to go into the private sector. I am so proud that he is a coach. And I got to watch his game on live stream last night. He's a first-year defensive coordinator at Kiefer, Oklahoma, and he called a heck of a game. He's going to be a way better defensive coordinator. He's already a better defensive coordinator than I ever was. So I'm so proud of that. So I love teachers and coaches, and I want to just hold them in the highest regard.
Yep. And while you were talking, they made a decision that after that last touchdown, they are not going to kick it off. 0 is what shows on the clock on the scoreboard, and we are done. 72-0 is the final. The Marshall Buffs win it. And I think there was one other thing I was just going to add. When I was a student in school, it was disgraceful what little Texas public school teachers were paid. It really was awful. But that has certainly been rectified. It's quite a bit better than it used to be. Some people still think that public school teachers should be, getting more compensation. I'm not going to really take either side of that argument, but I will say this. Today's teachers are resourceful enough and creative enough and talented enough and persevere enough where if they did want to go into some other field and make more money, most all of them could.
Absolutely.
But God bless them for sticking around and doing what they do for the kids. I guess we're out, aren't we?
That's a wrap.
For James Kovaleski, Uncle Quentin McCollum. And let's see. I got to make sure I give credit to our wonderful quality assistant, although I think he is assisting us for the first time, so his name didn't stick for me. Hold on, let me go to the first one. It's Nathaniel. Nathaniel, you're great. You did a great job. I forgot your last name, but I will say it during during the 6 o'clock broadcast of Willow Ridge against Waltrip. So for Nathaniel, for Kovo, for Q, for myself and everyone on the Vype team, Roger Smith saying so long from Hall Stadium. Our final score, it was brutal, 72-0. Marshall improves to 4-0 on the season, and good luck Northside the rest of the year. Lick those wounds, come back strong. You showed a lot of character today. And goodbye, everybody.
Pretty good odds maker. I set the over-under at 72.